Kyle with Campus Gains, Build Muscle and Lose Body Fat in College. And on this week's video, I am talking about the 4th of July. So chances are, if I'm posting this video when I want to, which is a Monday, the 4th of July is tomorrow. And chances are, if you are celebrating the 4th, you are going to be with your family and you're going to be eating a shit ton of awesome food in order to celebrate. Now, you might be worried that you're going to put on a bunch of body fat when you do that. I know when I first got into bodybuilding and trying to do strength training that I was really worried about that too. But since then, I've actually come up with a really good action plan for approaching not only the 4th of July, but basically any holiday, how to eat in order to stay within my goals, but still get to eat everything that I actually want to. So that's what I'm going to share with you in this video. So now let's get to it.
Hey, how you doing? It's Kyle with Campus Gains, helping college students build muscle and get lean, and I have a presentation for you today on how I essentially get ready for any holiday coming up so that I really do not put on any amount of body fat or hardly even put a dent in my fat loss efforts, and I basically gorge my brains out. And people, they always ask me, pretty much every single time I go to some family holiday or something and they see me just going ape shit on that food, they basically ask, how do you stay so thin? And okay, I'm not really thin, but I am lean. I do have a decent amount of muscle on myself and I am lean, but this is how I do it. And you can essentially use this strategy on any single holiday that you want. I'm doing it for the 4th of July because it's right around the corner. I wish I had created this presentation a little sooner for you so that you could put a little bit more of the action plan in place. But I think you'll still get a lot out of it and it'll really help you going forward. So here we go. First things first, create a calorie buffer days in advance. So what I like to do is 1 week out, I will actually think about how many calories I'm going to eat over the entire week. And then I will try to figure out how I can decrease calories on either a few days leading up to the date or one entire day. So, for example, I might decrease a single day, probably the day before, by like 50%. So if I have to eat like 2,500 calories that day, I might only eat 1,250. And then I have 1,250 extra calories to eat on the day of the holiday. So, simple way right there. Then I could cut smaller calorie amounts for multiple days. So leading up to it, if I'm not feeling like I have the willpower to cut an entire day in half, I might cut, maybe 200 calories off of every day leading up to it. So over an entire week, 250 times 7 or 200 times 7, that's 1,400 calories. You're adding 1,400 calories to that day. So that works out too. So the first thing I always do is I create a nice calorie buffer for myself so that I can eat a nice amount when I'm going there. Then I will fast up until the meal. So if you're not familiar with intermittent fasting, it's something that I do all the time, where it's essentially you're setting up a protocol for when you eat and when you do not eat. And my standard protocol is I will skip breakfast and eat only lunch and dinner on days that I train. And on days that I am not training, I will actually fast up to 24 hours sometimes. Sounds weird, but there are a ton of great benefits. I don't have enough time to cover them all in this one video, but they are there. Now, if your big meal is at lunchtime, try eating a light dinner the night before, maybe cutting your calories there, which make it heavy on protein and vegetables. Then you're not eating breakfast the very next day. You're not eating anything up until that. If your big meal is dinner, damn, I left the R off of your fucking grammar, and I'm teaching college students here. If your big meal is dinner, skip breakfast and lunch for that day, and you can easily kill your hunger with cold water, black coffee, and other caffeine sources. That's a really easy way to make sure that your appetite doesn't go out of control up until it. Just stay out of the kitchen where the turkey's cooking, or if there's burgers on the grill, get away from that shit. Now, the next thing you're going to want to do is lift heavy. So on the day of, have yourself a workout. And the reasons are, first of all, it's what the founding fathers would want. They want you to work out and act like a badass in America. You know what I'm talking about? But the real reason you want to do that is because heavy lifting actually depletes, well, it won't fully deplete, but it helps to deplete your muscle glycogen stores. So muscle glycogen are these little stores inside of your muscles that stores carbohydrates and gives you the fuel in order to, execute your workouts. Now, if you lift extra heavy, you'll actually help to deplete those stores, and then throughout the day when your body is looking for additional energy just to do its normal processes, pump blood, get your central nervous system going, and keep your metabolism running, it's going to turn to stored body fat instead. And that's why you want to lift heavy like a mofo, make Abraham Lincoln proud in that picture, and then lose body fat later in the day. So win, win, win. Next, at the meal. Okay, we're talking about things at the meal. Make 75% of your meal lean, protein, and veggies. Now, I use the word lean, loosely. If there is, by chance, grilled chicken at this meal, you're going to be all over that shit, okay? However, I know that sometimes it's like burgers or steak and stuff like that. Either way, you want to make protein your main source food right there. And then finish it off with some greens on top of that. So there might be some grilled broccoli. There could be some green beans. If it is other vegetables like corn, that'd be awesome. Fruits, that's probably, a good way to turn as well. And what I'm really trying to do is keep you away from the very fatty carb sources. Now, you can have some. That's why I say 75% should be lean protein and veggies. And you'd be surprised if you just load up on that shit, you'll get really full, because protein keeps your hunger under control. And you'll still be getting to eat lots of food that you actually like. Next, avoid foods you don't care about. All right? Just because there's food there doesn't mean you have to eat it all. So why even waste the calories? So you're on a goal here. Your goal is to eat a lot, but indulge in the things you actually want. Okay, if you don't want that green bean casserole that's in that picture there, don't eat it, okay? Cut mercilessly on the things you don't want to enjoy to make room for the things you do. If you want that dirt and worms mixture at the end of the meal, I don't know if you've ever heard of that before, but it's kind of like this Oreo pudding mixed with gummy worms. I love that shit. If you want that, okay, cut something else out earlier that you know for a fact that you don't really want, okay? Next, choose the meal or the dessert to go big, okay? So, all right, that's the one right there, so let me just go back. You can't have it both ways, all right? If you want to eat a lot in one way or the other. Otherwise, you're just going to put on a whole bunch of body fat. Because there's a lot of research behind that if you match high carbs with high fat, that will turn into body fat. If you match protein with high fat, you can still lose a decent amount of weight. If you match protein with high carbs, you'll still lose a decent amount of weight. If you are low protein, high carbs, and high fat, that's where you get into trouble. Easiest way to avoid that, just choose either to go big on the meal or the dessert, okay? Figure out what you like more and just go for it. Now, finally, for all of you beer and liquor drinkers out there, I'm not huge into alcohol on holidays. I know that sounds like I'm, going against America's wishes, but if you are going to get drunk and go big on the alcohol, go low on the carbs, because alcohol is even worse when it is paired with carbs, as in storing body fat. So if you're going to have, past probably 2 drinks, I would consider taking a low-carb approach. So cut out the cheesy potatoes, cut out the corn casserole, cut out the mayonnaise-based pasta salads and macaroni salads, and just focus on the alcohol, you stupid drunk. And that is it. That is the whole presentation. So kind of a quick recap of how you can actually keep body fat gain to a minimum or even continue losing weight and body fat on the 4th of July is 1. Create a calorie buffer days in advance. 2. Fast up until the meal. 3. Lift heavy on the 4th of July. 4. Make 75% of your meal lean meat and veggies. 5. Avoid foods you don't give a fuck about. 6. Go big on the meal or dessert. And 7. Go low carb if you are drunk. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation. This has been Kyle from Campus Gains, helping college students build muscle and get lean. And if you have any questions, go ahead and leave a comment. I'll have probably a link to this video as it's posted on the Campus Gains website, along with some other things too. So that's all, guys. I will talk to you later. Love ya. Bye.